Hi everyone. Today I'm going to tell you why we built a web app with hundreds of HTML video elements on a single page. So I'm Rod, I'm the CTO of Simon Says. I'm delighted to be at Demuxed again this year, and this time I'm here to tell you about a new tool we've been working on, Simon Says Assemble, and of course some of the technical challenges we encountered along the way. So to provide you with some context, Simon Says provides transcription, captioning, translation, and subtitling for audio and video with AI. Our goal has always been to help users find meaningful dialogue. So how does transcription help with this? Well, transcription is often a tool, kind of a step really, used in many post-production processes. We can be transcribing at different points of that process. Sometimes at the very beginning of the video production editing work to assist with the editing, or at the very end of the process for things like subtitling. But when you're transcribing at the beginning, what you're really doing is you're trying to find soundbites in your recordings. You know, the amazing line you heard one of the interviewees say, or the succinct summary you really wanted to use. But here's the thing. Transcribing your rushes is often an incredibly expensive, aggravating, time-consuming process, and that's really where Simon Says comes in. Because we're using speech recognition to provide timecode-based and frame-based transcription, where essentially each and every word has an in and out timecode and frame number, as opposed to just something that's time-based. We're really accounting for the particular requirements for video editing professionals. And then we add on tools for these editing professionals like diarization, AI-driven speaker labeling, simple editing and collaboration tools directly within the web app. So problem solved, right? Well, not exactly, because really the transcription was just a means to an end. What we know about our users, what they actually want to do is to find the key sound bites in their footage and then order and reorder those as they like to form really the foundation of their story. Now, if you look at video editing today, it's often quite a siloed process. There's an editor sitting on her computer with some very specialized software, and this person is often siloed off from the rest of the editorial team. And you end up in this slightly unusual situation where the people whose responsibility it is to craft the story, they tend to be one step removed from the actual editing. And, they're often non-technical people, whilst the editors, on the other hand, are working, they're working in their silo with some very technical software running, on their powerful desktop machines. And so that back and forth between editor and editorial, especially when they're not in the same room or the same office, requires export after export after export. So we saw an opportunity to leverage some of our tech, some of the Simon Says tech, to make the story development step accessible to everyone, irrespective of their technical proficiency, to make it as simple as using a word processor. So I know it's a thing that you should never, under any circumstances, utter the word web-based video editor. So I won't do that. Instead, I'll just show you what it looks like. So here's what it looks like. It's a web-based editor, which allows you to select the important sound bites in your transcript and insert the associated video and audio into a visual timeline. Now, from a technical perspective, we realized quite early on that it was really paramount that the user could drag and drop and resize the video segments and then view the result of these changes instantaneously. And that raised an interesting challenge, because there's no video file or video stream that represents that work in progress that the browser can just play. So here's the challenge, really. We have a handful of videos loaded into this web app, and we're constantly jumping around to different playback times in each of those video files. What we need to do is ensure that the browser is always ready to play these, seemingly random segments at the right time. So here was our first idea, using multiple buffers. So say you're working with two source files, two interviewees, interviewee A, interviewee B. So you have source file A, source file B, and you have a video element for each one of those. And then what you can do is swap out those video elements in the DOM of the web app in real time, making the media that's not currently playing buffer in the background out of sight of the user as you move the playhead around. Now the problem with this is that if we switch between the two too quickly, so if the user is selecting very short segments, then the hidden element might not have had time to load the content it needs to load to ensure a seamless playback. Also, if the user is selecting multiple segments within the same file, then this approach doesn't even work at all, because there's no other video that we can load up whilst it's buffering as it jumps around. So we're a bit stuck. So then we thought, okay, well, although we're not really doing video streaming here, maybe we could leverage some of the adaptive streaming tech to help us with this. If we use adaptive streaming and do very, very short segments, and then generate an adaptive streaming playlist on the browser, client side on the fly, then maybe this will allow us to do seamless playback of all of these user selected segments. Well, the problem here, though, was that the playlist itself gets invalidated on every change that the user makes. So maintaining the playback position as the user is dragging and dropping and allowing them to continue to resume playing as they make changes becomes very, very tricky. So then we came up with a third idea, which is now our current approach, and that's to make use of the Media Fragments URI standard. So Media Fragments URI allow you to effectively deep link into videos, allow you to include not just the URL of the video you want to play, but also the in and the out point of that media file. So all we really need to do then is create a video element for each user created segment, and then by specifying the start and end point in the video URL, in the tag itself, the browser just takes care of everything else for us. All we need to do is to just set up callbacks at the right playback time in JavaScript to trigger the playback of the next video element in the list, in the user-created list. And because they're just simple JavaScript callbacks, then we can change those and update them on the fly as the user is making changes and adding and moving them around. Then the final step is, of course, we've got hundreds of video elements. How do we show a nice preview to the user? Well, we can just copy the pixel values of whichever video is currently playing into an HTML canvas element. So let me show you this in action. So let's start a new Simon Says Assemble project. So we'll import our transcribed media. Now, because Simon Says can also translate the transcript and maintain the timecodes, you can just translate a foreign language interview into your own language and use that to select the relevant segments that you want to shortlist into your edit. So let's see the first interviewee, Charles. Let's select a few key points. Okay, so that one, we'd like that one. That one looks good. And we'll select this one here. So, I mean, overall, it's just much easier to scan through a piece of text, to scan through this text interview, rather than scrubbing through audio and video, trying to remember where in the clip there was a segment you really wanted. So hold on, let's see. Okay, but I think we've got enough for Charles. So we'll switch over to our other interviewee, Amanda, and let's pick a few of the bits we really wanted from her interview. So we'll grab this one here, and we really wanted this one. That's one we liked a lot. Okay, so we've got pretty much all the footage that we want for this edit, so we can start reordering, reorganizing the flow between these segments in the way we want our story to play out. We can even have a colleague do the same on their browser, and it'll be updated in real time over here as well. So that one can go a bit earlier. There we go. Okay, let's play that to see what it looks like. And of course, while we're playing, we can continue making changes, and we can reorder. We can drag this one up here, and we can move that one there, and it'll update in real time. Okay, so now let's export our project so that we can bring it into our final editing suite. So we'll open up Adobe Premiere Pro, and we'll import the output of our work. And here we go, we've got the exact same segments selected in the editing suite. Now, of course, at this point now, the editing professional can do all their creative work. They can focus on the timing, the pacing, adding in motion graphics, without getting inundated with the tedium of the back and forth with the rest of editorial as they're trying to decide, what the story is. So we also support other editors for this. We support DaVinci Resolve, Avid Media Composer, and Final Cut Pro 10. And it's the same idea here. We can open up the project and we get the selections that we made in the web editor directly in our edit suite. I mean, what we're really doing here is we're speeding up the editing process because now you can just move your story ahead and get everyone to line on the story much, much earlier in the process before you get to the more expensive step of opening up the edit suite. So we really think it'll open up opportunities for new and better stories told by more diverse creators. And we can't wait to see what people create with it. So Simon Says Assemble is now in private beta, so if you'd like to try it out, please drop me a line, rod@simonsays.ai. If you're just interested in Simon Says and how you can maybe use our platform programmatically, like we just did here, then you can try out another new product we've just launched, avflow.io, which is a low-code tool for video devs to build video-based applications by dragging and dropping hooks into a logic flow. Thank you very much.